Hey, hi everyone, and welcome back to Sabrina the Kitchen Witch. I am so excited to offer you this full moon in Libra reading here today. So, before we start breaking it down, before we start getting into the nitty gritty, I just wanted to remind all of you that there are so many ways to access content. I will be here every new moon and every full moon to offer you some insights based on the astrology mixed with some tarot, see what's going on with that blend. And that's always going to be accessible to everyone and anyone. If you hit the link that's in the comments, you'll see a link to my Ko-fi page where you can access me on a little bit more of an intimate scale. We do either early releases for these YouTube videos with a little extra bonus video. You have access to a zodiac season workshop that I will have every month. It's $22 for non-members, but if you're part of the second or third tier, that workshop is free. You have the opportunity to get a 2-card reading sent to your email every month. So many goodies. One of my favorites is having access to the Discord. So no matter what membership you choose, you will have access to the Discord where we can create our community. We mix passion with food, with astrology, with tarot, and that's how we just create our community and get this thing going. So if you want to subscribe to these videos, I would so love that. If you can like them, if you can share them with anybody that needs a little bit of extra guidance on the new moon and full moon, that's exactly what I'm here for. So let's get into it. We have our full moon in Libra during Aries season. So this is our first, let me pull up my notes here. This is our first full moon since the spring equinox. So if we're looking at it from that scale, this is kind of like the first full moon of the year. And when we look at it like that, it's a nice way to tune into the understanding that we're still very much on that wavelength of rebirth and renewal, right? So when it comes to Libra as a sign, it is ruled by the element of air. So it's an air sign along with Gemini and Aquarius. And the tarot card that represents Libra is justice. Justice is the balancing of the scales. So that's why you see the symbol for Libra being the scales. Their traits are that they're very extroverted, they're cozy, they're very friendly people. They have a lot of charm and intelligence. They're quite frank and persuasive, and they have a lot of seamless connectivity. So they like to bring harmony, peace, and some sense of homeostasis to any area that they're in, any space that they're in, any relationship that they're in. So that's why they're represented by the balance, or by the scale rather, to denote that balance that they bring everywhere they go. Some of their weaknesses are that they avoid conflict because they're always trying to keep the peace. They're always kind of trying to find this harmony. They have the tendency to avoid conflict, which means that they put themselves last. They have a bit of a self-sacrificing nature, and they tend to feel burnt out and underappreciated. So when I share these traits, it's not to say that this is only going to relate to Libras. It's going to say that if there are parts of you that tend to avoid conflict, or those of you who tend to put yourself last, those of you who tend to feel burned out or underappreciated, you don't have to necessarily be a Libra. It's just to say that some of the traits, some of the strengths, and some of the weaknesses that are embodied by Libra could be heightened in people that aren't even Libras. So it's just to say that the full moon in Libra is kind of shining light on those parts of us. There are so many planets, there are so many different zodiac signs, and a lot of us, if you ever look into your chart, a lot of us have planets that transcend many different zodiac signs. So all of us have a little bit of everything, even if you don't have a sign necessarily in your chart. Any full moon or new moon or any season that you're in, it will amplify those traits in you if you have them. So a couple of notes that I took down in terms of the messages that some people need to receive. This new moon takes place in the air sign Libra, and Libra is depicted as the scales of justice. It represents harmony, balance in relationships. This is ideal for bringing your life back into harmony. So if you've been feeling like the beginning of Aries season and spring equinox went 0 to 100 really, really fast, this is a moment for you to take a beat, take a breather, try to bring a little bit of harmony back into things. This is also a very good time to express forgiveness for yourself and for others. So if there's something that you need to just rid yourself of, this is an absolutely perfect time. It's also a great time for letting go of any toxic relationship. So Libra really does focus on connectivity in relationships. And so if there's something that's not working, it's either the time to be vocal about it or to probably let it go. So stop trying to force connections that aren't really there for you. If you're telling yourself that the reason why love may not be happening is because your expectations are too high, this is something that we need to get rid of, okay? There's a very, very fine line between expectations and expectations that are unrealistic, to be very honest. And I think that we've really entered a phase in life where the bare minimum seems to be like the most incredible thing right now. And I think that we could strive for more. I think that we can strive for not only what we deserve, but that much better. All right. So if you're kind of just picking up these crumbs, let's start actually putting out there what we really believe we deserve, because I think a lot of us have this feeling like, well, what will I do when I get it? We always have this manifestation and this internal wheel that's just moving and moving and moving. And then finally, when we get what we want, it's kind of like, okay, what am I supposed to do with this right now? So don't be shy. Put those expectations high. Don't let anyone or anything make you believe that what it is that you're striving for is unrealistic. It's not unrealistic to desire a partner or a situation that is attentive to your needs and wants. Don't compromise the things you value in relationships for people who keep missing the mark, okay? And this is relationships across the board, both platonic and romantic, okay? If people keep missing the mark, they're giving you the sign and the signal that like it's not copacetic. It is not gelling. It is not creating this harmony and this balance that is so indicative of Libra season. Okay. So with that being said, we're going to put these notes away. With that being said, I'm going to get right into the reading. So if you've never done a reading with me before, we always set intentions. I have my little table here with everything that I need, AKA candle, fire, incense, air, holy water, water, crystal, earth. I have my grandmother's perfume that I use here to represent ether. I keep all of this beside me because as we do this reading, I want myself and everyone that's here present to feel the most connected possible, to feel the most protected possible, to feel like this message that we're asking from our soul family, from our ancestors, and from our guides to really, really go across the board and hit people where it needs to be hit. Remember that not everything has to resonate with you. This is a reading for the collective, so some people will really resonate with things that don't mean anything to you. So what I love about YouTube is that you can stop it, you can pause it, you can go back, you can take notes, you can look at the art in the pictures. I always put it up to the camera for a little bit so that you can really absorb and understand the card, okay? But before doing that, we always intention set. We pray in a non-denominational way. Okay, so if any kind of religion or prayer makes you feel uncomfortable, just know that this is something that's just about setting energy and intention. And that's something that we all have within us, okay? If you're on a couch or on a chair, on a bed, something like that, I would just ask you at this point while we're doing this prayer, while we're breathing together, to just plant your feet firmly on the floor or wherever it is that you are, just so that the four corners of your feet are flat. All right. You can place your hands on your heart. You can place your hands by your sides, whatever feels most natural, but just drop your shoulders out of your ears. Let's just take a nice deep breath in together through the nose. Out the mouth, exhale, let it go. 2 more like that. Deep breath in. Out the mouth, release. Shoulders soften. Last one. Deep breath in. And out. Eyes remain closed as we bow our chin to our chest. We take this moment to connect to our soul family, our ancestors, our guardian angels, and our guides. Anyone and anything that protects us, that guides us, that surrounds us on this earthly plane. We ask that during this full moon in Libra, during Aries season, during this continual season of rebirth and renewal, what is it that we know that needs to be revealed to us? What areas in our life require peace and harmony? In what ways are we potentially ignoring those signs, ignoring those cries for help, where there is an imbalance that we have put rose-colored glasses over to just get through? It's time to fine-tune our focus and understand what exactly is not working for us so that we can continue to clear that space in this, so to speak, spring cleansing season to create space for all of the things that are meant for us. If we continue to push away avoid conflict, are in denial of things that are no longer working. We're grasping at straws and we're holding on to things that no longer serve us. We are very, very aware that if we continue to create space for these things that do not serve us, it is a very clear message to the universe that it's something that we are willing to accept. Please guide us in a way that is wholesome, that is caring, that is compassionate, and that is understanding to the collective's needs and wants at this time. Whatever it is that needs to be revealed, may it be revealed clearly and with an understanding for each person that's present here today. At the end of this reading, may the collective's energy remain theirs and may mine remain mine. Let's take a nice deep breath in. And out, let it go. Give yourself a little extra moment to just settle into your space. Flutter your eyes open really nice and gently. Alrighty. So I am using the Muse Tarot deck by Chris Ann, one of my favorites. I go through many, many phases. This one needs to come out. That one needs to come out. You know what? Yeah. 4, 5. Perfect. Perfect. I wanted to pick 5. Most of them fell on the floor. That's always good. 1, 2, 3, 4. And 5. Ooh, I already see this one. The Moon. 7 of materials. The Devil. 3 of materials. 8 of voices. Let's get it. First one that I turned. This one keeps coming up in readings, y'all. The Moon. Let's get this really nice and centered here. So we've got the Moon, which, I mean, is always a perfect card to come up during the full moon or new moon. All right. Interestingly enough, if I'm not mistaken, I want to say I'm like 90% sure that this is actually referred to as the pink moon because everything is in bloom. We're in spring. Flowers are blooming. Things are sprouting. Everything is becoming a little bit more fruitful. So this is actually referred to as the pink moon, which I love. So what happens when the moon is full is that there's this darkness all around, this darkness, this night. And then the moon is just the center of attention, the center of focus, like a spotlight is putting its attention and energy almost like it's trying to do it in an obvious way, kindly, but almost like, y'all, if you can't see this, like we cannot be shining a light on it stronger. So for some of you, you're actually getting some messages that are not too subtle, that might be quite uncomfortable. And this is you reaching the tail end. You might have gotten messages in the past, in the most recent past, kind of telling you like, hey, this person or this thing is really not serving you, but you were a little bit worried about what you would have to do. Very Libra, to avoid the conflict and just kind of try to keep some kind of semblance of peace and harmony. But what you're actually doing in ignoring the signs from the universe is that you're just prolonging the discomfort that's actually going to be even more uncomfortable because it's a situation you should have gotten yourself out of a while ago. Okay, so this is almost like, I don't want to say the last straw, but this full moon is kind of being like, y'all, if you don't get shit moving, if you don't actually start to believe and hear us and hear these messages and see these messages, if you continue to go against our guidance at a certain point, the universe is just going to assume that this is where you want to stay. So if that's in a place of lack, if that's in a place of discomfort, if that's in a place of abuse, if that's in a place of fear, it's going to continue to shell out those things because after a while, the universe, which does not discern between good or bad, it just is. If you keep accepting this situation and marking it as this is what it is, you're going to keep receiving discomfort, fear, and lack. So this is really asking you to bring your intuition to the forefront, right? I can't see where I'm, there we go. This is asking you to bring your intuition to the forefront, and it's seeking to unveil what lies hidden in the shadows, okay? Unearth that stuff. Like, stop pretending like the mound of crap that you have swept under the rug hasn't made the rug look like this now. We're not fooling anybody. That's something I feel like I had to really, really say. Like, I look right into the camera. You're not fooling anyone anymore. People are starting to catch on. People are starting to catch on that you're uncomfortable, that you're unhappy. You're no longer faking it till you make it. You're just faking it, and it's clear. That one might have been harsh for some people, and I apologize. Okay. 7 of materials. So this is 7 of pentacles. For those of you who are familiar with a little bit more of the traditional suits, they're all exactly the same meanings. It's just that this artist and this creator came up with her own iteration of it. And I love it because pentacles is earth. Materials are earthly things. So it makes a lot of sense that she decided to change pentacles for materials. So we're looking at 7. We're kind of in the middle-ish, but getting towards the high end of these numbers. So it's starting to put this energy of this card a little bit higher. And this is a pause to assess the rewards of your work. This is literally and truly the person in this card is taking their time to smell the roses, okay? So if you have been working really, really hard at something, if you've recently launched something, if you have moved homes, if you've bought a home, if you've just leveled up in the company that you're working for, okay? This is taking time to understand the wisdom that is in an investment. And this is also time to continue manifesting for your future. So some of you need a pause, a little bit of a moment to sit and reflect and just marinate. I feel like that's actually the perfect word. Some of y'all need to marinate in the energy. You've put out the manifestation, you've planted the seeds, and now it's a matter of trusting and waiting for that kind of thing to come to fruition. So some of y'all need to pause and reassess. Some of y'all need to celebrate, but there's a lot of diligence. There's a lot of diligence in keeping up with your manifestations. There's a sense of diligence in your rest, and there's a sense of diligence in needing to give yourself praise where praise is due. A lot of y'all need to hear that, okay? Going back to our major arcana, all right, we're at the Devil. So, where am I? Sorry. So the Devil, not too far away from the Moon. And if you know anything about the major arcana, it's actually a story. So the Devil actually precedes the Moon. The Moon is 18. The Devil is 15. Okay. This is temptation, temptation, temptation. Okay. For those of you who are going to start realizing, like, you know what? I got to cut this. I got to cut this person. I got to cut this situation. I got to cut this energy. I got to cut it. There is going to be a sense of this energy, especially if it lived in you for a very long time. It doesn't know what to do without you as a host, okay? There are going to be things that are going to tempt you to stay. If you're trying to leave a job, you might get a raise, but at what cost? If you're trying to leave a relationship, but you're starting to hear empty promises that you've heard before and they're really, really pulling at your heartstrings, what is the cost, okay? So for some of you, there's going to be a lot of testing of your will and of your word. If any of you ever read the 4 Agreements, one of them is be impeccable with your words. So if you're saying you're going to let go of something, you're going to give up something, that is a commitment that you're making to yourself. If you tell your dentist, yep, I'm going to be there next Thursday at 2 p.m., you've made a commitment, and for the most part, unless something comes up, you will be at your dentist's office at 2 p.m. to get your teeth cleaned, right? This is something that we all understand. Do not disappoint yourself. Do not make an appointment with yourself. Do not set a goal or a promise and not follow through. Be impeccable with your word. Do not allow yourself to be manipulated, okay? And some of y'all need to loosen up and have a little bit of fun, okay? Some of this is like there's just been this grip on you, and some of you have already let go. For those of you who have been in preparation for this full moon already and have let go of some things, deep breath, have fun, okay? But some of y'all need to just be careful because the water that you're treading could still be a little bit shaky. We're back to materials. So we have 3 of materials or 3 of pentacles. Whenever we get into the threes, we're always looking at some kind of collaboration, okay? So this is across the board with all the suits. Threes and tens typically are about collaboration, sisterhood, siblinghood. Some of y'all need to repair your relationship with your siblings, okay? And this is not to say, for those of you who, out of respect for yourself, maybe that's one of the relationships that you had to cut. I'm talking about people who are letting a grudge or something just drag on for a little too long. I'm seeing a lot of sibling, especially when it comes to this card. It could be a family, another family member, or somebody that you consider like a sibling, like a sister, like a brother, like a sibling. Some of y'all are holding on to grudges that are just taking up energy for no reason. And that's more of a lesson for you to learn about you than it is for you to learn about them. Okay, this is a very, very specific card that only some people need to hear about. So if this means absolutely nothing, just disregard it. But some of y'all need to hear this. Repair your relationship with your sibling, and it's probably you that's holding the grudge. Okay. Not one of my favorites in terms of cards to end with, but again, I never like to categorize cards as negative or positive, but there are harder cards or harder suits to deal with. And Swords is one of those suits. In this deck, it's referred to as voices. So we're at 8 of voices. If you're looking at this, character in this card, this person in this card, you're seeing what looks like something coming out from within. Okay, so I feel like a lot of you are actually getting drained. If we go back to the traits of Libra, one of them is being burnt out. Your energy is being sucked out of you at a rate that you can't even get back. Okay, so some of you are at a little bit of a scary energetic state right now where it's just output, 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 output. And you're going to find yourself at the end of it feeling quite disempowered, stuck, believing that you have no other choice. So if you're being manipulated, that's also the devil card, right? So if some of you are being manipulated into thinking that you have no other choice, this is where some of y'all are going to have to dig super deep. This might be through a lot of darkness for some of you, that whatever like iota or modicum of strength that you might have left, you're going to have to grasp onto it. This is, again, very specific to some people, okay? But whatever little crumb or little glimpse or veil of strength that you have to get you out of this space where you think that you have no way out, this is where you lean on the energy of the moon to shine the light on the truth that is your essence, the truth that is your intention, your goodness, your heart, your purity. All right. At the end of the day, we were all put here as a reflection of love. Okay. We were meant to create connection. We were here to create community. We were not meant to be felt like we are alone, and that all we have to do is output, 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 output. And some of you are really at the brink of it, okay? If this sounds like you, know that there is a tiny marble-sized amount of strength, and that's all you need. Even if you're like, Sabrina, it's the last crumb of whatever might be left of me, that crumb of strength is so much more than what you give it credit for. It may look small, but in its power, it holds so much. Okay, so if you're looking at this vast mountain of issues, problems, fears, doubts, uncertainties, and you know that in comparison, you have this mountain of fear with this tiny little crumb of strength, trust, allow the moon to shine its light on the truth that is that strength is so much more than that mountain or that heap of fear, okay? Because you've given attention, focus, and energy into all of the fears and the doubts and the woes and the trials and the tribulations, that's why it seems so monstrous. But if you take that tiny crumb and you just continue to nurture it and value it and feel gratitude for the fact that that little crumb is what gets you out of bed, is what helps you get the work that you need to get done. It's that crumb of strength is what helps you stay on the phone a little bit longer with a friend who needs to talk, okay? There's so much value in that tiny crumb of strength, and some of y'all really need it. but some of y'all need to also know that that crumb is invaluable, okay? We're gonna wrap it up here. I love choosing about 5 cards for every single lunation. If you are a member, you have to go onto Ko-fi to become a member, so you would have to hit the link in the comments. If you become a member, first, second, or third tier, you are going to get an extra 5 to 10 minute video every single new moon and full moon. And then every other tier has its goodies. So take this season, this Libra full moon period, take it and run with it in asking it to show you what it is that you need to shine some light on. Where are your strengths? Where are your weaknesses? What is it that you can do to find that balance? And I'm just so excited to be here with all of y'all. I hope you have a beautiful full moon, and I will see you for the new moon in a couple of weeks. All right. Much love, y'all. Take care.